We had a vote in the House of Commons. I voted to go to war, and I voted to get rid of Saddam Hussein.
Is that for us to decide? Is that for us to get involved in? That's not our country. Sure, we have a vested interest in, for example, the oil that's produced there, and I can't help but think that might have been a tiny little factor in what went on.
Except for, I don't think we should legalise drugs.
Well, why not?
Because you make them even more available. If you legalise it, it's going to be even more available, even more people getting onto drugs. Is that what you want?
David, anyone who wants drugs can get drugs. I'm telling you as a fact. It's everywhere now. It's permeating every level of society. And there are organised criminals with weapons who will use force to protect their industry, right? That's not going to go away just by providing more care for those who are addicted. How do we stop that?
I'm not sure I do agree with. I'm not sure I agree with that.
Well, you should do. Well, right. It's not working, quite simply, is it?
So let's try something different. Education and treatment is a different.
That's right. Let's legalise it.
No.
You ever give anyone the high five? Do you like to do the high five?
My daughter loves
the high five. It's legal.
No! We shouldn't hide where we disagree. And we disagree over lots of things, so I don't have to make it up.
Don't do that. It's too Blair.
Sorry?
That's too Blair. Get your own hand movements. Maybe that. Avoid that.
Yeah. We can change public services.
Public services.
Education.
Education.
Specialist schools.
Special schools.
In China and India.
India and China, 8 years. 8 years.
Aspirations.
Aspiration.
And courage.
Courage.
Million.
Fringe.
Never.
Change.
Change again. In turn. But time. Change. Change is marching on again.
That's got to change.
I hear you were in the dressing room having your makeup done. And,
with Tony Blair?
Yeah.
Prime Minister, yeah, met him. Showed him my calendar. He thought it was good.
I'm so sorry.
He
has arrived in the building. I can only apologise.
He's actually standing there.
All right, Tony.
All right, how you doing?
Yeah. He's a lovely fellow. Now it's time for Tony Blair, the Prime Minister of the United States of England.
It took me about 3 minutes last night to continually find a list of the same names. I have those names there. Those are the names on a piece of paper. You know the names on that piece of paper. Will you be speaking to those people?
No, I think, Philip, this is really important, right? Because there is a danger, if we're not careful, that this can turn into a sort of witch hunt, particularly against people who are gay. Never again should it be possible for a British government to transfer power to the European Union without the say of the British people in a referendum. We will give the British people a referendum lock to which only they should hold the key. And this is important because, after all, it is not politicians' power to give away. The power belongs to the people. Why do we need a referendum? Well, I think when our Parliament is giving up powers, is passing powers to someone else, they should ask us first, the people, in a referendum. Don't you think all of us should have a say in the referendum that we were promised?
If there were a referendum on Britain's continued membership of the EU, he would vote to leave. A third of the Cabinet agree with him. How would the Prime Minister vote?
Well, as I said, I don't want an in-out referendum because I'm not happy with us leaving the European Union. I hate to disappoint the honourable gentleman, but we're not having a referendum on in or out of the European Union tomorrow.
Mrs. Bone wanted to know whether, if a bailout came before 2013, despite qualified majority voting, Britain would vote no in any case. And I know that she would be very happy if the Prime Minister give that undertaking, and it would be really helpful for the Bone household if he could.
I do feel now that a very big part of my life is trying to give pleasure to Mrs. Bone. I feel on this occasion I can only go so far.
Are you on Twitter?
No, I'm not. I'm not on Twitter. I think that politicians do have to think about what we say, and I think the trouble with Twitter, the instantness of it, is I think there's too many twits might make a twat.
Rural Britannia.
Yeah.
Written by whom? I mean, it's the iconic association with the British Empire. Britain rules the world. Who wrote that? Do you know?
God, you're testing me there. Elgar, I'll go for.
Okay. Edward Elgar?
I reckon.
The literal translation was what? You have Magna...
Again, you're testing me.
Boy, it'd be good if you knew this.
Yeah, well, it would be.
Magna Carta literally means Great Charter. Rural Britannia, which is a beautiful refrain, based on a poem by James Thompson. Are you familiar with James Thompson?
Well, I am now.
But when you say you often have free votes in this Parliament, the Parliament from which you're responsible, if you accept, as you did at the beginning of the interview, that gay equality is basically a fundamental...
No, sorry, actually, you're right, you're right. No, I mean, I'm not the answer about... Sorry. You're right. The two votes are very different. Sorry.
You want us to vote for you. If we vote for you, we want you to vote for us.
I do. Do you know, can we stop for a second? I really want to answer these questions. It's really complicated. Either can we do a television interview or can we do a press interview? I'd almost like to start completely from scratch.
Honestly, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Really lovely to come on. Wonderful. Just very quickly, how on earth do you sleep at night?
I've always been able to sleep okay, actually. I find if you work hard during the day, try and get your stuff done, and then I try and put it behind you. Because at the end of the day, if you're exhausted, you'll make rotten decisions.
Mr. Dennis Skinner.
Is the Prime Minister still intending to introduce the Snoopers Charter, euphemistically known as the Communications and Data Bill? Does he realise that he'll be spying his government on more people in Britain than even all the press barons put together? Where did he get this advice and idea from? Was it down at Wapping? Was it his friends down there? Rupert, Tony, Rebecca?
I really believe on this issue, I think the honourable gentleman is wrong. I think this is a very, very important issue. And I feel this very strongly as Prime Minister, where you have to take responsibility first and foremost for security, for national security.
Doesn't he agree that the British people deserve an answer as to why he appointed one of Murdoch's top lieutenants, Andy Coulson, to the heart of the British government?
I will be delighted to appear at the Leveson inquiry whenever I'm invited, and I'm sure other politicians will have exactly the same view, and I will answer all the questions when that happens. It's good to see the honourable gentleman on such good form. I often say to my children, no need to go to the National History Museum to see a dinosaur. Come to the House of Commons at about 12:30.
Is the Prime Minister aware that the most revealing statistic in recent days has been the fact that in recession-hit Britain, the billionaires have gone up by 20, an increase of 37% in the first year of this Tory rule. Whilst in the real world, inflation's going to the roof, thousands of blind people are having to march through the streets of London to hang on to their disability living allowance. What a savage indictment of this lousy, rotten Tory!
I think the most revealing statistic today is the fact the unemployment figures show that employment in our country is up by 118,000, unemployment is down by 36,000, and youth unemployment fell by 30,000. Those are the statistics of what's really happening in the real world, rather than in dinosaur land that he still inherits.
Is the Prime Minister aware that this cabinet reshuffle of his B team hasn't raised a ripple with the general public, whereas on the other hand, those loud boos that greeted the Chancellor will haunt the posh boys forever? Why doesn't he be a man, do the decent thing, call a general election?